Hi everyone, this is Devleena welcoming you all to another iconic episode of Icons Behind Brand. And the interesting series is none other than Iconic Ads with Devleena and Saurabh. I have my expert co host with me, Mr. Saurabh Bajaj. Welcome here
Hi, good
once,
to be here.
same year. And we have our guest for today, Ms. Priya Lobo, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Ormax Compass.
Hi,
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 Priya.
and hi, Saurabh. Pleasure to be here.
Welcome to IBB, Priya. So we are good to start. So let's talk about the ad Fog. Before we talk, let me play the ad.
फिर खत्म खत्म तो होगा ही क्योंकि लगभग आधा तो गैस निकलता है। पेश है फॉग बिना गैस वाला बॉडी स्प्रे। फॉग में है सिर्फ परफ्यूम लिक्विड, तभी तो फॉग चलता जाए। तो अब आप ही बताइए, गैस वाला या बिना गैस वाला? नया फॉग 800 sprays guaranteed.
So a little background about you and your involvement and association with Fog at that time.
Okay,
That would
so
be a great.
if you see the ad, it was 10 years ago. What was striking is that I've always worked with Darshan. I've worked with him for now, I think it's close to 20 years. When he thought of it, he said, I want to be the titan of the perfume industry. And one thing he does is he does a deep understanding of the consumers and he calls it the category Bible. We try to understand perfume, we try to understand deodorants. And when we were doing the deodorant study, it's like any other study, understanding the category, the ecosystem, and how people use it, what are the brands available. Like, what's it with this deodorant? Yeah, because I was a perfume user. So I said, क्या चल रहा है ये लोग क्यों use कर रहे हैं? इसमें क्या फायदा है? The obvious things we know, na, कि masking and odor and all of that. And I remember this was a Bangalore group here, Delhi. Mein. I asked these guys, I was bored by then. I said, I don't know what's coming out. I said, just tell me how you use these things. So every guy did that, like that, like that, like that. So I said, ये क्या है? This Z kind of a thing. He said, हाँ मैम ऐसे ही use करते हैं अपन. And then suddenly one guy said, आधा तो हवा में उड़ जाता. And that was my moment of truth. I said, हवा में उड़ जाता है. Then the rest of the study was just to understand usage. And what is this हवा में उड़ जाता है? And that's when they said that ये can है, आप उसको शेक करते हो, ऐसा ऐसा करते हो, कितना बॉडी पे चिपकेगा और कितना हवा में उड़ेगा. And that was a moment of truth that we realized that there is a powerful proposition to give the consumer the real thing, give him the perfume. Even now people say मुझे गैस वाला नहीं चाहिए, लिक्विड चाहिए, मुझे तो परफ्यूम चाहिए ना. गैस से मेरा क्या लेना देना है? Even now, Saurabh, even now when I keep talking a lot, say गैस तो नहीं चाहिए मुझे लिक्विड चाहिए, मुझे परफ्यूम चाहिए ना, वो मुझे फॉग देता है. And that was a powerful presence. Even after 10 years, people still remember this, and that is the power of this ad. We could have gone anywhere making this into some other kind of an ad, right? But he continued that for at least 2 to 3 years. The normal itch is to make more ads, right? And when we were recollecting the joy of creating the brand, he said, Priya, for 2 years, I just kept playing this one thing so people would understand. And that's how Fogg story and success emerged from that.
So, Priya, where were you in the ecosystem? Like, were you on the research side, brand side, agency side? Like, where were you in the ecosystem?
So, when we work with Winnie Cosmetics, and of course, that we have a collaborative partnership, correct? With working with Darshan Bhai. So, he has never ever seen us as agency or something else. He sees us as his collaborative partner. He sees us as his think tank. He sees us as his brainstorming partner. In fact, before the COVID, there was every month that we just went. And it was an eclectic session of just discussion and ideas. It was not about iska bhi kya karna hai. It was more about understanding how the consumer is thinking. Can I put myself in the consumer's shoes and understand what are his pain points? And that doesn't hold us into any kind of, whether I'm a research company or insights company.
Okay.
I've worked with him for 20 years, so I know every study in and out. Because we worked on Moon,
Wow.
we worked on Levon, continue to work on White Tone, I work on all his brands, correct? So it's almost a Bible of understanding which he believes and he recommends, which I
Got it.
think is a hallmark of the success of the brand.
So tell me, I have always been really fascinated with fog as a case study because, I always believe that in most categories, there are these two ends to it, and if you see snacks as a category, okay,
Mm,
you have these Western snacks at one end and you got Indian snacks on the other end. And Kurkure disrupted it by putting a Indian snack in a Western snack pack,
mm, mm.
right? Similarly, the way I see perfumes and deodorants, okay, there is perfumes at $2,000, small bottle, glass bottle, $2,000, and you've got a deodorant at $500, and it's a can, right? And perfume is all about self-actualization to some extent, high-end benefit, while a deodorant is all about you can impress the chicks.
Mm.
So there's these category codes which are like, very blatant out there. And if you see the evolution of the fragrances category, right? Probably 20, 30 years back, they used to be probably the ether and then the perfumes and, very expensive.
The
You can
scent.
afford it. One, yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it 1, 2, 3 times a year. Then the Spins tried to democratize it to that chota sa bottle, which I'm sure nobody ever bought, which is
Mhm.
at 10 rupees bottle or something. Yeah. And then Axe took it by storm and Axe became everybody's. Is that time when Coke and Pepsi were doing their glamorous advertising in the 90s. Yeah. And then there was this era of complete incest and, those very, ludicrous ads, which are very, very, tantalizing, but taking it to an extent extreme, right? And then suddenly Fogg came in and demolished everybody, and
Mm.
they said, screw all the nonsense. You want real value, you want the best thing, this is what it is, khatam. So it's been a very interesting journey how the category itself has evolved, and hence I always wondered that it must have taken a lot of guts to say that I'm going to give a perfume in a deo bottle, because it would have killed all the gross margins.
So I think what he knew that so I think what is interesting in what you're saying is he had decided that he wants to own fragrance. I could start with Dio and I could then even reach the high end, right? And figure that out. But at the lower end, there was a need and a requirement for a good product. And I think that's what we realized, that you're giving them a good product and he believes in making a good product. Okay. So he will never be stingy about that. So even at 150, if somebody bought a Fog, he was getting a good product. But what he
Solid
was
value.
solid value. And he was also saying that इसमें wastage नहीं है. I give you my moment of truth. 10 साल पहले की बात है. अभी भी मुझे याद है. I was just telling somebody. It was so etched in my mind. There was this guy. He said, "Ma'am, I'm a sales guy. I'll tell you something. After I've started using Fog, उसका जो perfume है ना, मेरी वाइफ कपड़े धोती उसके बाद भी रहता है. इतना long lasting है. And much later, as the brand grew, people say ये तो बहुत दमदार है. English में इसका equivalent word नहीं है. The word damdar. And that is a part of the brand, that I'm giving you good perfume. I'm giving you something that is long lasting. I'm not giving you a cheap product, because you as a person has the right to smell good.
Good.
Everybody wants to smell good, correct? And there he
Good.
democratized that. And it's no nonsense, na? No babes falling from
Yeah.
heaven, nobody biting the chocolate ad, nothing. And he came, and I think that also is part of his personality. Somebody who's rooted, somebody who's grounded, somebody who wants to give people what is the real benefit based out of a real need. And I think that's where his success comes.
The other things I find a little interesting is that we are seeing liquid, not gas, and the brand's name is Fog, which is gas, right?
So it's very unique as a story, because he likes these interesting names. If
Right.
you were a marketing person, there was no hope in hell you would have.
True.
It is so ballsy. That's it. This makes sense. It is a nonsensical word. It doesn't have to. It's not nonsense. It's a nonsensical word. It's a four-letter word. And today, fog has become Even at airports, like I remember the army guy, something happened in Delhi and it was that December, Jan month. I said, itna weather kar hai. Arey ma'am, fog chal raha hai. So, so
Right.
that became like a word,
Balance.
colloquial हो गया एकदम. क्या चल रहा है? Fog चल रहा है. And it was
Nice.
easy to say, na? Not only you can say it, सब लोग बोल सकते हैं वो. इतना
It's very
complicated
easy.
तो नहीं है. Complicated भी नहीं है. So, on hindsight, if you ask, would we do it? No, but I think it worked. I mean,
Yeah.
that is, I think that is his naming strategy, as I would say, and that I think there's no right or wrong in that. Yeah.
But Veni Cosmetics has done really well, like not just in the Indian market, but I think even overseas.
Yes.
They're in some 70 plus countries now, and I think it's a pretty solid proposition which can work universally.
Again, fragrance. See, when you're committed, Saurabh, Devleena, we always say, right, we have to be committed to that one thought. 10 years ago, we thought about it, right? Fragrance. Perfume. I can give it to you in a glass bottle, or I can give it to you. Of course, there are differences. But if I'm committed to giving you that, then I will do internationally. It's a big market for perfume and fragrance, right? I don't know, but I'm sure he is spending a lot in terms of sourcing the right, product for the market. Yeah, and culturally, what we like in the Indian diaspora is very different from the international thing. Our notes are something that we need a little stronger. The kind of things that might work internationally might not work over here. So there's a lot of time that one has to spend really getting the right fragrance. And also, that, the whole Dio perfume thing is also based on innovation, variety. You can't have the same thing. To be invested in for the next 10 years now and it continues, then you need to say fragrance is my thing. Yeah. And not kind of do all other gimmicky things around that. Yeah.
And it was thought provoking for a layman's perspective. If you ask, 10 years back, I was not even into advertising and marketing. So I was almost a consumer. So it was a thought provoking perspective in my mind that, okay, now there is a liquid. So far, like we have been spending on gas and all. So the message was very strong and clear for any
Yeah.
layman.
And Devleena, I must tell you this. There was a fog that he launched for women, and it was called Fog Pink. 1 year
Okay.
after that launch, when he said, let's do where the brand is after 1 year. What have they understood? What have they not understood? Correct? So I can tweak and pivot. I did a women's group, a young girls group. They said Fog Pink. For the first time, somebody has come out something for us. Even now, Fog Pink does well. Though if you look at Fog, you'll say that Dios is males and all of that. But I've seen very smart people like us also use Fog Pink. So it is a brand that has acquired its own stature. It is an Indian brand that has been able to change the way we look at the whole category, right?
Totally.
And having the ballsiness to give you a good product. See, I'm giving you a damn good product and I'm going to charge you right for that. And I saw that even when he did Live On. Nobody understood serum, but when he said that this helps you detangle, itni choti si bottle thi. But even then, women swore by it because they were getting something good that solved their pain point. Now, that's the charm of saying that I'm going to give you something good. I'm going to charge you right. And I'm going to make sure that you get the value that you get from what you need. If you need fragrance, you will get fragrance. Yeah. And I
Sure.
think that's the evolution.
Fog also has a very interesting innovation strategy, at least when I see it on shelf. So there's a fog signature. Then there is these new fog deodorants in a white colored bottle. You know, want to tell us a little bit about their innovation strategy, or what were they thinking, or what are those which have worked, what are those which have not worked as well? Like say that fog signature.
See what happens if you look at the deodorant category, right? It's such a flirtatious category.
Hmm.
100, 150 में हर कोई कुछ ना कुछ लेके आता है. But there are enough and more people saying that I want to be a little exclusive. I want to have something that others don't have. And I think that's where the fog masters came. That's when the fog signature came in. Of course, important thing is to keep understanding the play between the price, the fragrance, and what is the affordability. So if you look at everybody who says that fog is a brand, is giving me fragrance at an affordable thing. The word is affordable. It's not about cheap or expensive. In that price point, there is somebody who can also pick up a master's and somebody who can pick up a signature. Yeah. And it could be also occasion dependent, right? I might use one deo for normal regular, but I might use this when I'm going out for a party. I might use it for something that is more special. And I think that is the strategy of creating those, right? Going ahead. And I think that's what every brand would do, depending on that. And I think there would be a particular price point beyond which that particular brand might not be able to say that I might not go there because what do my consumers want? Affordability or the strength to pay for that.
And has the strategy been changing over time? Because I'm sure when they entered, it would have been a disruptor, new entrant. Do they now see themselves as a category leader trying to grow and evolve the category?
Yes,
Is
yes,
something like that
absolutely.
from a
Absolute. 10 years now, right? And it's growing as a brand. And there's so much potential because, I don't know, Devleena and Saurabh, we think that everybody uses a deodorant.
hmm,
Maybe there are lots of people who don't. There are lots of
right,
people probably don't use it every day. And I think such a big potential, right? Such a big potential to understand fragrance, potential to say that, okay, it's a growing brand. And like, for example, pocket deos as well. There is a need for people to carry it with them. Yeah.
right,
Yeah. And I think those some you could call them innovations or you could call them the need of the hour. But the main thing is the can. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Of course, you'll have all the other things happening, but the main thing is giving you perfume in that can, which leads to no wastage. You get your perfume, it lasts long. And that narrative has not changed. And I don't think so that equity will change. It should not change for sure. Yeah.
And over the last 10 years, while they started with a very intensely functional ad, but even now, their communication tend to be very clear and functional. So, wasn't there ever a temptation to say, yeah, let's just do something emotional?
I think that's what his strength is. He doesn't get, swayed. He doesn't get swayed easily with all this. It's always been that this is my thought and how can I best make the consumer understand this. And it has always been like that. It's always been like that. I've seen that on other brands as well. If you look at the Move communication also, because I worked on Move very intensely, it's another brand that I like. Again, very simple. And I've seen that even for Live On. It's basically addressing the main thing over there.
Nice. Super stuff.
Superb.
Huh? I think we've covered quite a lot.
Yes. Thank you, Priya. Like, I mean, the way
Yes.
you have covered, I think in a short span, we have covered almost all the aspects which me and Saurabh wanted to talk.
No, and I
Superb,
think
superb.
with Thoughtful Thursdays, it has given me so much of that, confidence, and it just helps us stitch the thoughts together, right? And
Totally.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's been wonderful. And Saurabh, thank you so much for thinking about me. And
Wonderful conversation. So, Saurabh, what are the three takeaways and key learnings from this particular piece of conversation for us?
Great. No, I would say again, a fabulous conversation, super fun. Yeah, for sure. And this has been one of the stories that is a marketeer's delight. Every marketeer wants to know what did Fogg do, which is change the game. Yeah, and that's really where the learnings come in. The first learning I would say is a gold standard product. Being able to be not very frugal about it is not only about gross margins, it's about saying that can I give a good, honestly priced, compelling product to my consumer, that's what they gave, right? So they gave so much more material than the other guy. Any other deodorant at the same time with the same price would have been giving largely gas, and they were not really giving that kind of value to the consumer. So I would say that's the first piece of learning. If you can build a gold standard product which the consumer really values, you're sitting on gold dust. Yeah. Second is, we often tend to follow category code. We tend to say, how does advertising happen in deodorants? And if you were to see Wildstone or Axe or any of the other deodorant players at that time, you would have said it has to be purely emotional. It's about heroing a very compelling, almost unbelievable benefit. But here they said it's the liquid hair, nothing else. As brass tacks like that, and they're stuck on it for the next 10 years. So I would say they just cut the category color clutter by speaking in a manner and tone which is very honest, very refreshing, very different, and it just hit the hammer on the head of the nail. Yeah. The third part is naming. Naming is very tough. Also, the most complicated part, especially for a new brand. In that kind of a space, finding out a simple name like Fogg, sticking to it. A 4-letter word, I don't need fancy sub-brands and so on and so forth. If there is a signature or something else, that's fine. It's just to tell you what it is. But Fogg, that's it. One simple brand, uncomplicated, very simple, consumer gets it, ties back to a consumer benefit and become a mammoth. So for me, those were the top three takeaways. One, build a gold standard product that the consumer really values. Second, cut the category clutter, speak in a manner which is probably different and compelling, and stick to it. Be consistent about it. And third, simplify your naming process. These decisions are not all that hard, provided you don't, tie ourselves in our own mental cages. Take a simple, straightforward call. Put the hammer on the nail of the head, and then sort of move ahead. So that for me was the taker for this conversation.
Superb, Saurabh. I think these are very, less talked topics. Like, I mean, how to choose a name and, choosing a name, how tough it is. So thank you for bringing that upon here, Saurabh. And thank you for sharing such valuable insights with us.
Great. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for being here. And thank you for our viewers and listeners for patiently listening to us.